So what's up, y'all?
Hi.
How is everyone doing on this day, this evening? So I was talking to a friend of ours, and she was very heated earlier about something, and I shot a message to her and asked her if she wanted me to talk about it on this channel, and she said she was okay with it. And she's known my wife for 15 years.
About that.
So,
You have to excuse me, I'm still sick.
yeah, she's still beautiful. Don't worry about her voice.
Thank you.
And,
Don't worry about my breath either. I can taste the sickness.
oh, that's, okay,
Sorry.
Let's go.
Okay. So my friend Heather wrote, "What are people afraid of? Why are people so scared to talk about or recognize the injustices in our country? Truth hurts, maybe? To recognize or admit means that we are actually responsible and that we allow it. It's possible you can't see it based on your environment and the company you choose to keep or the work you choose to do. Maybe naive, but why is it so difficult for people to realize that just because you don't see it or you don't personally experience it, that it's not actually happening to others? People are like, oh, are we talking about this again? Or why do people keep making it an issue? Because maybe, just maybe, it is still an issue. Why can't that thought be entertained by anyone? And if anyone cares to respond, I'd like answers other than politics or name calling." So basically some of the responses say, it's the old adage in the books, you're right, truth hurts, people can't look in the mirror and see the truth. And sometimes I'm enraged and can't understand, I just can't go there. And some people just lack empathy. If it doesn't concern them or their families, then it doesn't matter to them, and that's just sad. And that's a sad truth. And so yeah, I'm going to say there's a couple of things. I think it takes a lot of courage to speak up when something's not right. A lot of people are not confrontational. You don't know what the ramifications are going to be of your actions. Just to give you an example, and I'll make a long story short, my brother works in an industry, in the service industry, and he goes to customers' houses, and he worked in a predominantly white neighborhood the other day, and his dispatch told him, oh, the lady's not home, she left the door unlocked, you can just go in. And he called dispatch back and said, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm African American, I don't want to just walk up into this lady's house, I don't want any problems, the neighbors might see me and call the police, or whatever the case may be. So he called, the dispatcher said, I understand, and called the client. And she explained to the client, he's a black man, he doesn't feel comfortable just walking up into your unlocked house when you're not home, so he'd rather reschedule the appointment if at all possible. And the lady said, it's not a problem, my grandkids are black. Basically just to say that, she's not racist, she has family that's black, she understands, and it's not a problem. And so he went ahead to the appointment and took care of what he needed to do. And she ended up meeting him there and saying, I was really pissed at this technician. She's racist. She called and said that, basically letting me know that you're black so that, to let me know that a black man's going to be coming in my house. And I didn't appreciate that. And I'm going to I called in a complaint. And he said, oh, no, it wasn't like that. I'm the one who wasn't comfortable going into your house because I'm a black man and this is a predominantly white neighborhood and I didn't know what I was walking into, because realistically, that's the world we're living in right now. And, she was relieved. They laughed about it. They talked about it and everything was right. So that lady said something. She felt that this black technician, from her point of view, was being discriminated against. And she was outraged for him. And she didn't even have any idea that he knew about it or that he knew what had happened. But she was outraged for him and took it upon herself to do something about it. We need more people like that. We need more people who, when they see an injustice, they do something about it. In this particular case, she was off the mark, but that doesn't matter. If you see something and you know something is wrong, then you should not sit by and let it happen. I have friends who are, or I won't say friends, I know people who are married to racists. And I may be friendly with the wife, who's white, and she's married to a white man who's racist. Now, to me, if you are with someone who is racist, that means that you condone their behavior, and you are saying that that behavior is okay. And now you're going to have children, and you may not be a racist, but your husband is, and part of who he is going to be soaked into those children. So now you have children who are either racist or on the fence about how they feel about other people. And that's a dangerous situation to be in. So I choose not to associate with people like that outside of work or when I have to, because I don't trust you. If you're married to a racist, then what are you saying? Do you, when he says racist things, are you telling him that's not right? Are you getting into discussions about it? Are you laughing it off? Are you ignoring it? If you're not getting in somebody's ass when they say something racist, then you're condoning the behavior and you're guilty by association. Point blank. When people in my family say racist things, and I don't care what black people say, black people can't be racist. Yes, you can. Okay, if you don't want to use the word racist, you can be a bigot. You can be prejudiced against other people. All of that's wrong. Racism, bigotry, prejudices, all wrong. And I have some racists in my family. Ron has some racists in his family. And when people say fucked up shit, it's racial, and it's negative, and it's inappropriate. If you're saying, oh, white people smell like dogs, you don't correct them, you laugh it off, you're just as bad. If people say, oh, white people do the craziest shit, you laugh it off, you're just as bad. Because all the things that we think are innocent are not necessarily innocent, and they have real repercussions. And if you keep allowing that to go on, it's never going to stop. It's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of racism. And when is it going to stop? It's going to stop when people stop accepting it. When people acknowledge that we have a problem. And for a white person, I can imagine that it's probably difficult if you're always hearing black people saying white people are racist. I can imagine that shit is old and tired, and you're just fucking tired of it. And if you're not a racist person, I can imagine how you might feel attacked. I get that. If you're not racist and you just are just walking along, doing your own thing, treating people equally, trying to be a good person, and somebody automatically thinks you're a racist, that shit has to be exhausting. It's equally exhausting being the one who people are looking at you as a thief or any other negative idea you can put on a black person. That's exhausting too, and it's hurtful, and it's sad. So we have a lot of healing to do in this country, and I feel like, yes, we've come a long way, but we still have so much further to go, and it's definitely a scary time, and it's just sad. I'm at a point in my life where I speak up. Yeah. If I see something that I don't like, I speak up. And it's not easy. People always think, even at work, people always think, oh, Dawn doesn't let anybody take advantage of her. Dawn's so outspoken. People say they look up to me and stuff like that. But just because on the outside it appears that I'm full of confidence and able to say what I need to say, I'm unsure of myself too sometimes in saying stuff, because you don't know how it's going to be received. But I'm at a point where, what's the worst that can happen? At least they know where I stand. I don't have to be subjected to these kinds of jokes anymore, because they know that those jokes don't fly around me. And maybe it'll make awareness. Maybe they think it's just something funny to say and don't realize that they are being offensive.
But what if something, let's do a real life scenario. Because it doesn't matter if you speak up. It doesn't matter if you got a cell phone. It doesn't matter if you see something going wrong. What if there's a real life scenario where there's a crime taking place? What are you gonna? Most people gonna do. Most people are gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna get the hell out of that area. You know what I mean? So everybody's quick to say, "Well, we gotta help this and we gotta help that." But if you see something going on and there's a gun involved, most people can't do anything in that situation.
No, but I would make sure that if I'm a witness to something where there is an injustice, I would make sure the appropriate authorities get my side of the story. I may not stick around for it at that moment when my life is in danger to do so, but I would definitely make sure that my side of the story is presented so that that injustice is heard out, because I think that it is important for that to happen. And another story I was thinking about, and for the record, like, I never even witnessed so much racism until I moved to Pennsylvania. I mean, granted, I love this state, but I never witnessed so much until I moved here. One of my other coworkers, she was dating a guy, and she's a white woman, and she was dating a guy, and he was white, and she said they went out to dinner one night and went to a movie, and they were like walking around a little area, and there were some black kids walking by, and he said they don't belong here. And she's like, why? He said, this isn't their neighborhood. And she said, how do you know? Like, do you own all the neighborhoods? Like, you don't get to decide if someone gets to be in a certain area. And basically, he was saying because they were black, she never seen him again. Never dated him again. They had been dating for some time, and she was heartbroken, but she stood up for what was right and did the right thing. That took so much courage. And I respected her so much. Like, we don't see eye to eye at work on a lot of things, but I respected her so much for doing that, because she was falling in love with this guy. And to find out he had this ugly thing about him, she told him, I can't see you anymore. I have black friends. This is just not something that I think is appropriate. What's going to happen when we have a barbecue and my black friends come? Are you going to treat them disrespectfully? He said, oh, I would never do that to their face. To their face. So she's like, no, I can't do it. And when she's telling me this, she's actually crying. And she's alone now to this day because that relationship didn't work out. And that takes a lot of courage. So I think for me, it all boils down to courage. You have to have integrity. You have to have self-respect, and you have to have just a lot of courage in order to stick up for other people, and even to acknowledge sometimes that there's an injustice going on, because sometimes it's hard to acknowledge it, I think, too.
Well, I stand by what I say. I'm not going to change my mind. I believe racism will always be here.
Oh, I think so for sure, too.
It's never going nowhere. I'm just going to add on a little bit what my wife said about the, she was brave. But think about people that was in a think about people that's in a relationship 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and all of a sudden, whether you black or white, it don't matter. And that man or that woman said something to their, significant other, and they go, well, what that dude said to that female. Most people are not going to leave that relationship.
Or do anything about it.
Or do anything about it. I understand and make it seem like I'm not attacking my wife. I'm just saying real life situations.
I mean, those are real life situations that I gave you. Every single one of them.
Everybody is not going to do that. If they're together, some people, even if they're together a year, that man ain't leaving that man is not leaving that woman.
Yeah.
That woman is not leaving that man. They don't care if they're racist. They don't care. They're going to accept that.
Which scares me. Because I even know, like I was telling you about, one of my friends, her brother is going out for the police force, and he's dating a woman who's racist. So alarms automatically go off in my head with that. He's going to be a police officer. And that sets off all kinds of alarms for me, because he's going to be a police officer in a world where police think they're God, and some of them are not doing the right things, and now he's going to have this influence in his life, and that's a concern for me. And I urge my friend to say something to him, because that's a scary situation. And this is her brother. And, you know, in a perfect world, we should be able to talk to our siblings and say, hey, this person's not right for you because X, Y, Z. So hopefully at some point she will get the courage to say, hey, with the career path you're taking, she is not a good mix for that. And you need positive people in your life who help you to stay grounded, who help you to stay neutral, because in the line of work you're going in, you need to be neutral. And let's face it, we all have prejudices. I'm not saying that we don't. But when you're in a situation where people's lives are at stake, that's where you need to have the least amount of prejudices and be able to be neutral. And so I just encourage everyone to speak up. If you see something wrong, and no matter who it is, your grandmother, your brother, your friends, your co-workers, if you see somebody saying something wrong, speak up for the greater good. It's only the right thing to do. And if you have some comments of your own or something you'd like to share, please comment on the video. And let's keep the discussion open.
She took over this one, y'all. I'm okay
Well,
with
as you know
that.
from my other video, race is a big deal to me lately, and it's very heavy on my heart. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is. She this stuff she takes over. So.
And I think it's because I have friends of lots of different ethnicities and nationalities, and we have these discussions. And sometimes I hear even my friends say little things that they don't realize are hurtful, or how serious that thought process is, and we talk about it. So I think it's important to have those conversations.
And I don't think it's anything, because people get mad or upset when you have. There's nothing wrong with an open conversation about anything you want without getting mad. And if you get mad, get out of the conversation.
Or be mad, but don't stop being respectful.
Yes. Because even political people, I see on TV, they disrespect people. And just because you don't believe what that person, or you don't understand what that person, you shouldn't get out of your character.
Right.
And disrespect that person, because being that you disrespect that person, you also disrespected yourself.
Yes.
Because you got out of character, and that's not your character.
Right.
Or maybe that is your character, and you just showed your true self. So you never know. You know what I mean? There's a lot of conversations that I have with her, in general, with people, friends, family, and I get upset, but guess what I do? When I know that's to a point where I don't want to hear that conversation no more, I let them finish. And then I'm done. You know what I mean? Because my wife said I have a problem with dismissing. Because when someone can be talking, all of a sudden I can just walk away. Right in the middle of your sentence. So let that person get out what they're saying, and when they're done, move on to a different conversation, or you just move on. So it's all about just not disrespecting the next person. Do your best not to disrespect the next person. That's it. You know what I mean? And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. But that's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on being united instead of divided. Period.
Yeah.
And like, comment, share, dislike. I don't care.
Don't dislike.
Do it all. The more, I don't mind, honestly, the open conversations are cool with me. You know what I mean? I don't mind open, as long as we can all can have an open conversation without the anger.
And how are we supposed to understand each other if we don't talk about this stuff?
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about race. No, let's talk about all of it.
Yeah.
Because how are we supposed to understand each other if we're not talking about it?
And then,
we don't have to agree, but let's talk about it.
And once you get angry, that's when you know it's time for you to stop. That's it. And then be an adult about it and say, I'm getting upset about this, I think I'm going to stop. And let that person finish what they got to say and just be done. Two people can't conversate if one is just talking. You know what I mean?
Two people can't argue.
Well, conversation. I'm not worrying about the arguing.
No.
Even if that person is angry, guess what? They can be angry and doing this at you, but if you ain't saying a word, what does it mean? You know what I mean? You don't have to say. You don't have to say nothing once it gets to that. That's all I'm saying.
Back to the real question: what are you afraid of?